Buonasera.
Sei?
Vai, vai. Ciao.
Buonasera a tutti. Iniziamo la conferenza.
Good evening. We have with us this evening Stefano Pioli and Rade Krunic. We can start with the questions then, please. Hi, Mr. Pioli. Hi, Rade. First question. How are you feeling on the eve of such an important game? Well, obviously, it's a little bit feeling pretty positive. We're very confident, very enthusiastic, very determined to win. Question from Sky, please. Hi. To the two of you. The usual question. Update on injured players. I think Giroud had a cold, or has a cold. Is he likely to play? And what about Brahim Diaz? I know that Brahim Diaz was back training with the team today. He'd been out for 4 or 5 days. Will he be able to start from the bench or start in the starting 11? Well, they're both well. There's 24 players with me, and all 24 could play from the beginning tomorrow. So we're all ready. That includes Brahim and Oliver. Rice Sport, please. Hi, Stefano. Good evening. Antonio Conte spoke today. He's back, as it were. That was confirmed today. Now, does that change for you? The fact that the fact that Conte will be in the dugout today? Well, I think a coach being in the dugout is always important, and certainly important for the way in which I coach. Whenever I've been away from the team, I've really missed the team, and think that it's been tough for me. Conte, there's no doubt that he'll represent some added value by being present. But in any case, we're playing against a tough opponent, well prepared, very motivated. That's normal after all. It's an important game after all, isn't it, for both teams? And it's important for both teams to play the best possible game. Rimondi for Krunic. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, you're the player who's perhaps made a significant contribution to winning the league last year, playing in a specific position for the coach. Do you think you're the kind of player who can play anywhere? And, to what extent does it matter that you're the champions of Italy coming here tonight? Well, yeah, I do consider myself to be a utility player, as it were, and being able to play more than one role, more than one position is a good thing, I think. I know that the manager's happy with me from that point of view. And, of course, we have to play this game as the champions of Italy because we are a strong team and we're here because we deserve to be. We deserve being here. And, of course, we expect tomorrow night to be tough. It's going to be a tough game, a difficult game, but we are Milan and we have to play how we know how to. Corriere della Sera, please. Stefano, I would imagine that you can still remember the defeat against Fiorentina at the weekend. Anything you want to avoid this time around? Well, it's a different game, and we're going to focus on tomorrow night's match against Tottenham. And the game's going to be more intense. They're going to put a lot of pressure on us, even more than they did in Milan. We know what to expect, and we've prepared ourselves to be up to the task, to being able to withstand them, to know how to move out on the pitch, and to know how to get a good result. Gazzetta dello Sport, please. Good evening. I think that what's the first thing Milan has to do tomorrow? The first thing they have to avoid doing, have a good approach to the game and play with a great deal of continuity, be very careful, play high quality football, make the right decisions, which to a certain extent are going to be determined by the solutions we need to find to match the opposition. We need to match the opposition, have to be high quality choice, technically high quality as well. Any UK, any English journalists want to ask a question? Wouldn't appear to be the case. Daniel Lungo. Well, I just wanted to ask you a question. How will Tottenham be different compared to the way in which they played in Milan? After all, I think that Milan deserved to win, and particularly if we consider the number of opportunities they created. And perhaps their defeat against Wolverhampton at the weekend, is that going to be a positive thing or a negative thing in terms of their motivation? I don't think what you do in the league changes anything as to what's going to happen tomorrow. It's a decisive game for both teams. Both teams want to get through to the next round in the Champions League. We expect Spurs to put our ball carriers under a lot more pressure compared to what they did in Milan. I think they're going to be tough, strong. Tottenham, I think that if you look at their data, particularly in the second half, they're a top team. So we need to be really careful in playing them. And we do prepare our games from a tactical point of view, a strategic point of view. But then, certain episodes determine the outcome of a game. And we need to make sure that we pay a great deal of attention to these episodes, play them with a great deal of determination so that they are to our advantage, or the Spurs' advantage. Next, please. A question for Krunic. You've played in the 4 games in which Milan have kept a clean sheet, which suggests that the way in which you play, you help the defence, you help the midfield out, and tomorrow's going to be a battle, I think, for you, isn't it? You are a very you're a utility player. You can play anywhere. So from a tactical point of view, this is going to be important tomorrow. Yeah, as the coach has said, we've prepared the game really well, but ultimately, games are decided by episodes, one-off episodes, I think, and things that happen. I think we have a slight lead, but we still have to play our own game, keep the ball, try to control the game insofar as is possible, and then, of course, we have to all help the team out, both in defence and in attack. Ultimately, we're all going to be doing our best out there. Toto Maclato Web. Next question. Good evening to both of you. A question for Krunic. Now, very often this year, people have said Milan is missing Makassi. You've played you've played in the centre of the field. You've played wider. Could you play a little bit further up this time around? Do you like being labelled the new Frank Kessie, or do you prefer just being Krunic? Well, I haven't got much to do with Frank Kessie at all, as far as I'm concerned. I played my own season and played my own game last season alongside Frank Kessie. I think that, when you've got top players, you're always going to miss someone if they don't play for you. Someone like Frank. We miss other players who've perhaps left the club as well, of course. But I consider myself to be Rade Krunic, and that's it. And I think that I can help the team out in my own way. And, in terms of where I can play, well, the coach knows where I can play. I can play in different positions, and I'm prepared to play in any position he asks me to play in. Fabio Conte, please. Fabio Conte. Good evening, everyone. Stefano, I just wanted to ask you, in the first game, Conte said that San Siro gave you a real boost and your supporters helped you. They helped you to score. Now, do you think the same thing could happen here to Spurs? What impression as this is created? Perhaps you think you're going to play even better in front of the stadiums, and the stadiums are public. Well, the fans didn't actually score. We scored. They helped us to score, don't get me wrong. I mean, we played a good game in Milan. We'll try to do that tomorrow. Obviously, we know that the stadium tomorrow is going to be a really hot, passionate atmosphere. And, but we're used to playing in these stadia. After all, we want to play in these stadia. After all, we want to live these emotions and as a team capable of getting good results. Hi, Stefano. Tomorrow, you can write a page in the history of football. I'm not just talking about going through, because Milan won't be writing a page in history just by qualifying, but we're hoping that you'll play really well. What can you do to show that Milan is back. I hope that you'll be able to play the same game that you played in Europe against Manchester United a couple of years ago. I think in terms of the authority you showed on the pitch, that's what I'd like to see again. That Milan again. In fact, perhaps you need to be even stronger than the Milan that played 2 years ago against Manchester United. Well, listen, tomorrow it's going to boil down to character. I think that's what Rade has said. You know, we need to show our character, control the game. Our opponents are very good, particularly going forward, have very strong individuals. They play with a lot of intensity, a lot of energy at the beginning of the first half, beginning of the second half in particular. So we need to be well prepared, and we need to stand up to them and withstand their attacks. We have a slender lead. But we can't just sit back and manage the game. We need to try to score through our game, our play, our qualities, and perhaps try to surprise the opponents as well. Because, you know, the fact that they need to score means that they might leave a bit of space behind the defence. Thank you very much indeed.